Hey, what's up? It's Joe. Welcome to my Freestyle Fridays for December 20th. So, yeah, yesterday I actually had a pretty interesting encounter that left me kind of thinking the rest of the day, about not just today, but sort of the future of work, right? And so, what happened was I was actually getting my Google Fiber upgraded, um, and this very young guy stops by to upgrade and install a few things, and he definitely struck me as a very sharp individual. Like you can sort of tell when you talk to people and they're tuned in. They know what's going on. And so anyway, there's a bit of a delay in getting things going. So not on his part of it. I think they're upgrading to Salesforce, or whatever, and that was just causing all kinds of issues with my ticket and things breaking because that's what happens with upgrades. But he asked what I did. I told him, I work with data and machine learning and AI and that kind of stuff. I actually hate the term AI because it's not really accurate, but that's what we have adopted. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I asked him. He had a very inquisitive look in his face when I mentioned AI, and I had to ask him. So what do you know about AI, right? And he said, yeah, it's interesting. I think he was. He and his friends were looking at getting into software development, right? So it's kind of a traditional sort of path that a lot of people go into. Yeah, it's good, tech's a good living. I don't think anyone who listens to this podcast is probably in tech or data, or if not, it might be kind of weird to listen to this podcast. But hey, it's good to meet you. But tech and data, it pays well. But his impression was, and he was echoing both his opinions and those of his peers, his age. I'm guessing this individual is probably in his late teens, early 20s, whatever. But he bluntly said, like, look, it doesn't seem like there's much of a future in this. The AI seems like it's very capable of writing a lot of code and running it on its own, right? And he's been paying a lot of attention to this stuff. He told me about it. Agentic workflows and all this kind of stuff. And so, and he kind of echoed the sentiments of his peers, but it seems like, at least for him and his friends, they kind of saw the writing on the wall of the profession of being a developer, right? And so I thought that was kind of interesting. And even my kids, they look at a lot of things right now. My youngest son is, both my kids really, they're only a couple of years apart, but they're looking at AI and they're looking at jobs out there. And my oldest son was actually telling me about, going to, career and college preparation class or something like that in his middle school. And he even knows, like, he's looking at some of the jobs, like, these things are all going to be done by AI at some point, right? So maybe not completely done, but they're definitely supplemented by AI. And so I think it's interesting, right? The guy installing upgrading my Google Fiber today, he seems a bit sharper than most people. And, him and his friends are sort of reevaluating their career options. Because for the longest time, they've been told, you need to learn how to code. You need to learn how to write code. You need to learn how to, write software, because software is the future. And I still believe this. I think that, if you kind of zoom out and understand how much software has yet to be written, how many things have yet to be automated in this world, it's pretty much everything, right? I think we're still at the cusp of great things. So I think you can look at this from a couple angles. One is that by using AI, we can fully leverage, very powerful tools to do all the toil that we somehow will never get around to doing, right? So, and that getting around to doing part involves like migrating code, migrating systems, writing software to tackle huge problems like climate change and, I don't know, pretty much everything in this world, right? There's no shortage of problems. A lot of these are human, cause, human address, but, technology has a way of boosting us forward, right? And so you can look through the past at any epoch in human history, and that's been the case where humanity has moved forward because of technology. And so, if you look at how much And this comes from an article. I can't remember what it was, but it was brilliant. It basically talked about how much technical debt there is in the world in terms of how much software there is yet to be written, how many bugs there are to fix with existing software, and just how much more we have to do with software. So in that case, right, AI opens a potential to just unleash, solving these problems at scale in a way we would just never get around to doing. If we would have done it, we would have done it by now, right? So that's one angle of I think of the conversation about AI. On the other hand, there's absolutely some concern that certain jobs will go away, certain jobs will disappear. This always happens with technology. And historically, technology has either been very complementary to skills or it's supplanted skills, right? And people find other things to do. The classical example is, agriculture, where most Americans, even not 100 years ago, but say 150 years ago, most people worked in agriculture. Now it's like, what, 2% of the population in the United States? That you can extrapolate that to the rest of the world, but you kind of see where things are going. People find other things to do, working in service jobs and so forth. I guess the question really is, that case, is that, when you look at sort of the vulnerabilities in, a country like America at this point, where we outsource all of our manufacturing prowess and agriculture and everything else, was that a good decision? I have no idea. I think that's above my pay grade, but it is what it is at this point. So, hopefully find our way back. If not, I guess we're completely screwed, but that's a different conversation. But the point is, technology does what it does, right? You move up the food chain, you automate or delegate, i.e. outsource those things which you no longer want to do because it's not a value add, and you outsource it in order to drive more profit, right? You increase your margins by moving the lower cost centers to lower cost areas, and that's how it's been. But with AI, it could be different, right? Daniel Susskind had a really good book called A World Without Work, and he talked about how the common notion that we'll continue to find new things for humans to do is a noble notion, but it may not be true with AI. It may not. You're talking about something that replaces fundamentally the tasks that humans, at least in knowledge work, might be good at, and at the rate it increases anyways, there may not be enough time to find things to do for those who are displaced. So the notion was that everyone needs to write code. Right? I remember Obama did the Code for America or Eurocode or whatever it was, and he was saying every American needs to learn how to code. And he did some Python, print hello world thing, and that's cute. But you fast forward to today, and Copilot does that right now, right? So, and increasingly you're seeing, Devon, things like that, which I think are basically like, sort of World Wide Web, Netscape era, and things will improve. To say that, we're stuck at LLMs, I think the common thing I see people get wrong is that they look at LLMs and they say, well, it's just going to be copilots. And so I'm like, I don't think you have any idea what's about to happen. It's not copilots. It's not LLMs. It's the fusion of this plus a lot more, plus new techniques in AI that will yield fundamentally different ways of writing software. I think we're just seeing the very beginnings of it. And so when you look at, people like my, Google Fiber installer or my own kids who look at most jobs and are like, these are going to be automated. I don't think I don't think you can look at them and call them dumb. I don't think you can look at them and say that they're misguided. I think they're just looking at things through a very, I would say, unbiased lens. And they're saying, okay, computers can do this. What should I be doing? So I actually urge my kids to find a trade and find things that AI can't do. I think if you're a parent, you should be looking at those jobs too. But there's notions of creativity and STEM. But okay, creativity is interesting. Generative AI showed that you can generate images, video, and so forth. And and for people I know in the creative industries, it's very much the same question of, do I continue? Right? When I talk to filmmakers and people in video, they think they're screwed when they see stuff like Sora and similar. And you can't just say that today is where it's going to stop. This will keep increasing in sophistication and utility. And so maybe we go back to the trades. And this kind of brings me back to something my LinkedIn post where I saw some people degrading this person because they had a Google Fiber job, like saying, well, if he just actually got a real job instead of being a fiber installer, maybe he would make something of himself or something along those lines. And I made it very clear, like if you say stuff like this, these elitist dipshit comments, I'm going to block you and delete your comment, because I think that everyone, especially now when I think jobs are up for grabs, when the workforce and the notion of a career is evolving, please don't take an elitist view of careers. I would say that your job could be automated as well, and every job is worthy. Everyone's livelihood is worthy, and so don't take this kind of standpoint where you're above that. You could be very well doing something you don't want to do, right? And that's the nature of work. That's the nature of how technology churns through jobs and eliminates jobs, creates new jobs, and changes work, right? And so just don't have this holier than thou attitude about things. I won't stand for it. I used to be a laborer, and there are days I still wish I could go back and do that stuff. Maybe I will. I don't know. I mean, I like building things, and there's something very cathartic about building construction stuff. It's homes, carpet. I don't know. Like I used to be a floor installer, and a bunch of other stuff. But I like plumbing, for example, right? I just like for whatever reason I like doing plumbing, except if it's like really gnarly stuff. But it's fun. So I would say just keep in mind a lot of things are up for grabs right now. Keep an open mind about careers, and be supportive, right? I think that there's again just a lot of open-ended questions that you've got to really answer. Namely, what's the nature of work going forward when you have AI counterparts that might be capable of doing what you're doing, right? So do you orchestrate them? Do you manage them? Like, what's the nature of work? I think we're all trying to figure this out right now. So anyway, that's the rant for today. It's just more about the nature of work and sort of the future of work. And I think we're at an exciting time, as I tell a lot of students that I speak to at universities, for example. I say you're graduating at definitely one of the most fascinating inflection points in the modern era. When I graduated, things I think were a bit more certain in terms of what technology would do, or what the economy, or geopolitically, or anything else. And I don't even know. And I graduated kind of a bit after 9/11, right? And so the whole world's up for grabs, but it's nothing like what's happening now, where you have just geopolitical things happening all over the world. I'm not going to get into what those mean, but I'm sure you can extrapolate if you look at what's happening, with U.S. versus China, Russia versus Europe, and the world versus kind of the world at this point, let alone AI and Lord knows what else. But, kind of the sea change was just geopolitical factors. But I would say, it's with or without AI, the world's going to be a very fascinating place over the next several years. So buckle up. But, the thing is, we're all in this together. We're all along for the ride. So just be, as supportive as you can of each other. And I think it's about all we can do. But, if somebody wants to learn tech, I would say go and mentor people, right? My focus is in education. I hope to teach a lot of people, things I've learned, and hopefully pass on knowledge from other people. But, that's my focus. I think that's where I can make the most impact, is in education. And, especially, one thing I'm focusing on is kids, and how could I help them navigate a very uncertain world that probably the people listening to this didn't get to go through, at least with, as much uncertainty. But that's my path, right? And I'm sure you have your own. And so that's kind of what it is. So Anyway, that's the that's a rant to my rant, and I hope you have a great holiday. If you're in America, Merry Christmas. I hope you have a great Christmas or Hanukkah, whatever it is you celebrate. But I'll be back next week, and we'll talk much more. Take care. Bye.